You may believe that the reason why you aren't achieving your weight loss goals, the reason why you aren't seeing consistent progress in the gym is because you don't have the right plan. You've miscalculated your calories, or maybe you just don't feel like you've got enough time to do any of it in the first place anyway, and so you've stopped trying. Today, I'm going to talk you through what your problems actually, I think, probably are, but also how to solve them. And I'm going to use my little war hammers because I'm applying the same skills that I do to make progress with my fitness, to show up consistently and train, to adhere to my diet and eat well, as I would when it comes to my hobbies like painting all these models. So we'll just jump in. No cuts, no edits. It's just me talking into my iPhone with my little war dollies. I mean Warhammers. I mean war dollies. Warhammers is a bit alpha, isn't it? War dollies is far more inclusive. Now, the first problem I think that we all make when it comes to our hobbies, our training, is that we allow ourselves to become overwhelmed. You might have a weight loss goal. You might want to lose 20 pounds. And the problem is that that's a big goal. That's a lot, a substantial amount of weight that you're trying to lose. And it's a million miles away and it's not going to happen anytime soon. And I look down at these models. I think there are 26 of them that are in various stages of being painted. And I can see why I put off starting for so long, because there's no possible way that I'm going to get any of them finished in a month, or all of them finished in a month. I'm not going to get all of them finished in the next 2 or 3 months, most likely. And so I put off even starting to do it. And you will do the same thing. But the thing that you need to realize, that I needed to realize with these, is that I didn't need to worry about when I was going to paint these 25 models. Just like you don't need to realize, or you don't need to think about when you're going to lose 20 pounds. You just need to focus on the first one. And I just need to paint the first one. And so long as you can do that, you will inevitably reach your goal, because it's just repeating the same process over and over again. I don't have to paint 26 models. I just have to do the work needed to paint one. And then I can move on to the next one. And then I can move on to the next one. You get the point I'm trying to make. So whatever your goals are, break them down so that they're not overwhelming. If you want to run a marathon, you don't have to worry about running 26.2 miles. You just have to be able to run the first mile. And then once you've achieved that and you're confident, you run the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's a really simple approach, but it makes a big difference in the long run, because your goals are probably going to be quite far in the distance in terms of when you are going to, or when you can achieve them. And the longer you spend thinking about that gap, where you are now and where you want to get to, the more likely you are to feel overwhelmed, or feel like it's a million miles away, to feel like it's unachievable. So what I want you to do is just break it down. What's the first thing that you need to achieve? The next thing I think that I would recommend that you do is make things as accessible as possible. I'll give you an example. I have here my other boxes for Warhammer. I have a box here full of models that need painting, and I have a box here that is all of my other paints, brushes, tools, and Warhammer stuff. That's a lot of kit. It's all packed away neatly. And so if I get 15 minutes, 20 minutes later today to do a bit of painting, to make some progress, and everything that I need is packed away in these boxes, realistically, how likely do you think it is that I'm going to unpack all the bits and pieces I need and pack them all away again and do any painting within 15 minutes? I'm just not going to do it, which is a real shame, because 15 minutes is still 15 minutes of progress. And so what I do is I have this TV dinner tray, and I have the models I'm currently painting. I have the 2 paints I currently need to do gold trim. Anyone who paints World Eaters or Chaos will know that pain. I have the 1 brush that I need, and I have a wet palette. And I can have this set up in 30 seconds. Last night, my wife downloaded it's old Alien Isolation game, where they can hear you breathe through the microphone. It was quite funny watching that. I got some videos. I definitely recommend you watch someone play that game. And I sat in the lounge while she was playing it. We had to have the lights on, obviously. For me, not for her, she wanted to play in the dark. So, and I could do 20 minutes of painting. And I think I got like a couple of gold trims done on a few models. And the point is that it's accessible. I can do some here. I can take it into the kitchen. I can take it into the lounge. It's ready to go. It's not packed away. You would do the same thing if you're reading a book. You don't have the book tucked away in a cupboard on a back shelf if you're currently reading it. You have it by your bedside so that when you get a chance to read a few pages or a few chapters, you pick it up and you crack on. And you need to do the same with your training. You need to do the same with your nutrition. Some really obvious examples. Have your kit packed and ready to go. If you're going to go to the gym after work, do not forget to take your gym kit with you. Do not put yourself in the position where you're having to drive home, get changed, get your gym kit, and then leave home. Because sometimes you will do that, but more often than not, I think you'll probably get home and go, oh, I just can't be bothered today. It's just not going to happen. Like if you had your trainers with you, if you had your shorts, you had your gym kit with you, you're much more likely to go. If you do some training at home, let's say you've got some kit in the garage, you've got a kettlebell gathering dust, bring it in, keep it in a corner of the house so that it's easy and accessible. Again, another example. I'm lucky enough that my wife has allowed me to keep all of my grip trainers in the office. So when I get 5 or 10 minutes, a couple of times a week between work and working with clients, bits and pieces, I can just grab some of those and just do some repetitions. Even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes, if I do that 3 times across the week, I'll have accumulated 20 to 30 minutes of good quality work for my grip, for my forearm, and if that was tucked away in the garage and I had to walk out, go around to the garage, turn the light on, get them out of box, how likely do you think it is that I would ever do that? It just wouldn't happen. So if you've got kit at home that you use, have it to hand. I fully appreciate if you've got a bike in the garage, you can't just put that in the kitchen. We're talking about reasonable things. And you can do the same with your nutrition. If you're using scales to weigh up food so you can track calories, have them out just all the time. Try not to put them away. Same with things like supplements. If your supplements are tucked away in a box in another room, and it's no wonder that you miss your protein intake every day because you're not having your whey powder shakes and stuff like that. So make things as accessible as possible. That would be the next thing that I would recommend. That's all I need right now. This is all I need for the next 2 or 3 weeks. I've got to do 2 layers on each of these with this color, and then 1 layer just to highlight a little bit of this color. It's going to take me a while, but if I keep this out, I can just do 15 to 20 minutes here or there, and by the end of the week, I will have accumulated hours as opposed to doing none at all. And that brings me to the next point. Recognize that doing half the work is still better than doing none of the work. A really common issue that some of you will come across is that you don't have the time to finish all of the work that you're planning. You've got a training session, it takes an hour and 10 minutes. And because the way work is that day, because of childcare, because of socializing, whatever, you don't have the time to do the full training session. You don't have an hour and 10 minutes. And so you look at your workout and you go, okay, let's just sack it off, I'll do it another time. And that's the wrong approach. That's an approach that's going to keep you going round in circles, keep you starting again, never making consistent progress. Instead, be happy doing half of the work or a third of the work. If you've got an hour training session plan, but you can do 30 minutes of hard work, do those 30 minutes. You can try and catch up with the other 30 minutes the next day or tag it onto another workout. But again, look at it as overall work accumulated over the course of a week, over the course of a month, rather than what you can specifically get done that day. There's a model here, I can already see it. This one's not even half done. I think I got 5 minutes yesterday and I started doing 1 shoulder pad and a bit of the helmet. It's not even halfway done. It's like a quarter at best. But that's a quarter that I don't have to do today. I can just pick this model up and I'm ahead of where I would have been yesterday, or I'm ahead of where I would have been today had I not done what I did yesterday. I think I said that correctly. So doing small amounts of work is still worth doing and it adds up, because your actions should be judged by the week, not by the day. Whether or not you do an entire workout today is less important than whether you get all of the work done by the end of the week. So be happy chunking things up. Look at it as a weekly aim. Are you doing your exercises over the course of a week rather than are you doing this exercise on this specific day? Because what that will lead you to do is, if you don't have an opportunity to do that specific workout or that specific exercise on that specific day, you'll just sack it off rather than recognizing, oh, I didn't have enough time to do my chin-ups and my rows at the end of my Monday session, so I'll catch up with them later. I'll try and stay an extra 5 or 10 minutes on Friday and do them at the end or the beginning of my session. Or even better, have some bits and pieces that you can do at home and you can top that up. So you've got your main workouts and then you do 5-10 minutes here or there. So we've got stop looking at the big picture because you'll be overwhelmed. We've got make things as accessible as possible. We've got be happy doing half the work or a third of the work because it all adds up in the end. And I think the fourth tip that I would give you today is find a way to do even the tiniest amount, because it's going to help maintain momentum. If I don't touch these models for a week or two, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to get back into it. Whereas even if today I find 5 minutes to pick up my paintbrush, put my paints in the wet palette and just do a little bit on one model, that's going to keep that routine in place. It's going to keep the process fresh in my mind. It's going to remind me that I've done something that day, and it's going to mean that the next day or later that week, I'm more likely to pick them up and continue that. If you end up going stretches of days or weeks without doing anything, it is going to become harder and harder and harder to force yourself to pick that routine back up again. And I want you to think about how it feels to do just a little bit of work on a day. You get up early in the morning, you go for a walk when you normally wouldn't, or you get up in the morning, you set your stopwatch for 5 minutes, and you just do push-ups for 5 minutes. How more likely are you the rest of the day to eat well, to be active, to do the things that you need to be doing? Obviously, far more likely, you get this impression, you get this feeling, don't you, that you don't want to undo the hard work you've been doing. If you do some push-ups in the morning, like I said, you go for a walk, you will eat a little bit of a better breakfast. You will hydrate yourself during the day because you don't want to undo the fact that you've done some of that hard work. So there is also merit in just doing a little bit of the work that you need to be doing, even if the outcome of that work is insignificant. Like doing 5 minutes of push-ups for some of you might be a bit of a challenge, but it's not going to make a huge difference. If that's all you did that day, you'll get a bit of a chest pump, your arms will get a bit of a workout, but it's not going to make a massive difference. However, it will probably have a positive knock-on effect for what happens the rest of that day. It's going to make a difference when it comes to what you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's going to make a difference when you're erring on having a second glass of wine that evening after a stressful day of work, because you'll think back to the 5 minutes of push-ups you did at 6 in the morning when you didn't have to, and you'll be like, I've already done some hard work. I don't want to undo that. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to make it pointless. The actual 5 minutes of push-ups doesn't achieve a huge amount, but the knock-on effect it has for the rest of the day does. And me just doing a few minutes of painting doesn't achieve a huge amount. I'm not going to get anything noticeable done, but it keeps the momentum going. It keeps me in that routine. It keeps it fresh in my mind. And it reminds me that even just doing a tiny bit is going to help in the long run. So those are just some things that I wanted to share, because I think that if you've got the skills to make progress with your hobbies, whether it's like Warhammers, D&D, video games, you like reading books, then you have a lot of the skills that you need to make progress within your training journey, your weight loss goals, whatever it might be. But sometimes it's just about connecting those dots and working out what those skills are and how you can apply them. So if you're into hobbies, you read books, you make time to play video games, Warhammer's D&D, have a think about the skills that you already have that allow you to show up consistently, that allow you to make progress, that allow you to avoid that overwhelming sense of, overwhelm, and apply that, or try to apply that with your training, your activity, your nutrition, because it's exactly the same thing, almost the same thing. There we go. If you enjoyed that, leave a like, subscribe. See you on the next one.